Good morning. What is great, good, and real? God bless. I'm feeling heavy today. Here's what I got. The scariest part isn't losing what you love, it's realizing you were given more than you knew and still fumbled the weight of it. I am going to explain why I've come to this concept. To whom much is given, much is required. To whom much is given, much is required. I know it's like a movie line, right? It is reserved for those who clearly emanate abundance, who display it, who post it, who boast about it, who have what we don't have. To whom much is given, much is required. And if you're like me, and maybe this has happened to you, and maybe you've been a witness to this level of abundance versus perceived scarcity. And maybe you're sitting out there saying to yourself, much has not been given to me, at least not yet. Because I desire so much more, because success tells me that abundance is depicted in a specific way, and clearly I have not been given a lot, so much must not be required. I'm going to argue deeply against that as somebody who has a lot of a little bit. I thought about that too while I was walking the other day. Some of us get stuck in having little weight perceptually, especially consciously, particularly from our ability to create in the image of God. Some of us get a lot more than what a little bit is, and it's still just a little bit of a lot. And either way, we find ourselves just trying to hold it. But clearly, if we don't have a lot in the form of, again, societal success, it can feel as if there is just a lot of a little, in a very uncomfortable and sort of depressing way, right? To view all this abundance, to see all this magnificence in the world, and to view yourself not a part of that, then you might not understand to whom much is given, much is expected. And somehow you might also be confused that you have not been given a lot. And I'm here to totally shatter that and crack that. Regardless of what you believe your status is, regardless of how light the weight might feel, regardless of what you don't believe you have and what you are still striving for. And maybe you're on a path. Maybe you feel like me, right? That, oh, I've gotten a lot. Even the little bit I have is a lot. And trust me, I believe that the little I have is a lot. I am all the way blessed. All the way blessed. And I know more is coming. Therefore, more is expected. I've had these epiphanies. I've had these experiences in varying degrees of my life. Whether it be my personal and most intimate relationships, the marriage I've held now for 17 years, which is a lot of what shatters me on the inside, 25 total. The career I'm on, 20 plus years, a really good spot as far as, if you weigh me against my peers, I'm easily in the 1% as far as what I've been able to accomplish, what I've been able to do, my compensation package, not just in dollars and cents, but my authority in the business and in the industry. And just my ability to also touch and tap into God now spiritually, right? If you've been with me, you know me enough to know that through my addictive spirit, my wife referred to me as fire the other day. I consume everything. It's all the way in. To whom much is given, much is expected. And so I'm on this spiritual journey, this God-driven journey, this life journey to attain and attain and attain and open myself up like, yo, bring it. I want the weight. I want the weight. I know more is expected. And so you get into these dream states, these endeavors of, yo, I'm going to push myself to the height of all heights. I'm going to do this channel. I'm going to work on this entrepreneurship. I'm going to work on this vision and dream. And you perceive like, yo, this is it. This is the way. To whom much is given, much is required. Like, this is it. What I am on, what I am endeavoring out to do. Like, yo, when I get it, it's going to be, ooh, right? I know everybody has an experience like that. Everybody has a vision like that. Nobody is immune to it. God provides a vision to all. And even if you only have it but for a moment, you felt it. And so you're like, yo, this is what's going to be given. This aligns and it measures against everything that they tell me that I'm supposed to be doing, because this will give me the weight of abundance. So I've been on that for a few years now. Just the proverbial grind, pushing and pushing and pushing, extending my limits. When I tell you that I'm not the biggest, the fastest, the strongest, the smartest, but as far as the limits I have, I've extended them greatly. I'm pushing it and pushing it and pushing it and pushing it and pushing it. To whom much is given, much is expected. I had a dream last night that shook me to my core, man. And I think it shook me so much, it brought me on today. I wasn't supposed to come on today. I didn't announce this in any specific way, only to myself, which is probably irresponsible to me, to the people who do follow and expect things of me. I was going live pretty much every day for 2 quarters now. As we move into quarter 3, and as we move into the evolution of the Do-You rules, I want to have more of a pattern that's stretched out. So I'm going to go live once a week, formally every Monday. But I think I'm even hesitating to get to this dream because of that's how, and I'm not going to get into details. It's too intimate and too personal, but I'll tell you that the weight of it shook me. Like, I woke up and I was almost trembling. It was, and I don't know if it's the spiritual journey. I don't know if it's the stack I'm on. I don't know if it's the combination of whatever concoction is in me spiritually, psychologically, emotionally, the things I do physically. I talked about being conscious all the time. I don't sleep the way I used to sleep. It's like I'm conscious of what I am subconsciously conscious of while I dream. I can't even explain it. But I feel my dreams on a deeper level. It's not mysticism or magic. It's just, I think, the reality of connecting deeper to my brain, connecting deeper to God. I think this is available for everybody. It doesn't make me any different than you. It's just where I'm at. And maybe I just believe that because what else is there to believe when you go this deep into your spirituality? I don't know. I don't know what to expect fully. No one gave me a book, a manual, or a guide. Nobody's mentoring me. Nobody's preparing me. At least no one but God. So when I woke up, man, I was trembling. I was in between sort of sadness and warning, right? I don't know if you've ever had an experience where it feels so hostile. You feel physically aggressive because maybe you think you need to be angry, but then also you're I guess scared half to death. Right? What is the balance between y'all? I'm so shook at what just happened and the implications of it and what this could actually mean that I want to be violent, but I'm also like sad. And what I sort of contemplated when I went through the emotional state, to whom much is given, much is expected. I settled on, yo, this has got to be a warning. This is a warning. Before I went to sleep last night, I went through my prayer, and every now and again when I lose sight of demanding from God and putting in work and being aggressive towards action, I have to remind myself to like, yo, give me a message if I'm missing something. Let me sit down and just listen to God. Like, yo, if you have anything you want to say to me, say it. I'm listening now. I believe a lot of the times we get aggressive with our motion forward. We forget to stop to listen, to understand that we might be needed to make adjustments. So every now and again, I'll just open up to God like, yo, I haven't been listening to you lately. I think you've been sending me messages. I think you've been trying to get to me, but I've been so hell-bent on just being aggressive towards action. I stopped to pause and reflect deeper than I need to reflect. I reflect more on what's my next move, what's my next move, what's my next move, versus what have I gotten from these moves? And so I said very simply, yo, if there's a message you want to give me, I'm listening. Deliver it to me now, especially while I'm sleeping, because what a time, right? And I think that's why I got this warning. And so the feeling was like, I don't know if my spirit was or wasn't scared, but it certainly was summoned. And so I went through the process of vividly reenacting the dream in a conscious state, because now I'm awake. And I went through the levels and the layers. It was 3 different experiences in one, all sort of tied together. The first part of it, I was just simply in a department store with my wife, and I had essentially left her. And she hates when I do things like that, right? There've been plenty of times we've been even out to parties together, and I find myself separating and having conversation and being the light of the party outside of her. I hate that I used to do that. There's so many things I hate that I used to do to my wife. I can't get it back. Part of what I do now, right? To whom much is given, we're going to get into why I think that's deeper. Much is expected. The second portion was sort of with my son, and it was deeply, what's the word, man? It was disturbing. It was disturbing. And it was like he was him, but in his baby body. It was odd. It was odd. And then the last piece, I was sort of on a violent experience. Maybe that's why I couldn't tell if I was violent or disturbed. On a ship somewhere, fighting some kind of battle, right? Yeah, those are my dreams. So after I try to rationalize this, which I don't understand how to rationalize these things, I went into my reading. I prayed. I felt like I had to pray. And part of what I prayed on was gratitude. I reminded God, to whom much is given, much is expected. I said, yo, let me do myself a favor. Let me be grateful for all the things I do have. Because if you're like me and you're out there and you're pushing and you're pushing and you're pushing and you're pushing, and like you're reaching, and every time you go to reach to grab, it just extends itself a little bit further, like life is playing this crazy cruel game on you, you gotta summon gratitude and say, yo, let me just, I heard the message loud and clear. Please don't forget how grateful I am. Please do not forget how grateful I am for breath, for my life, for my body that works, my spirit, my soul, my gifts, my darkness, my light, my wife, my daughter, my son, my home, the meals, the AC, as the heat index just rises incredibly. This moment that I can sit here and even be responsible enough, at least to my level of responsibility, to have this thought to say, yo, thank you, God. So I had that moment, reflected, I prayed, still in between straight terror and aggression. And I think I'm slow reading the last 50 to 60 pages of Pistis Sophia, because I don't want to end the book. But I read something that put language to the pressure in my chest, right? Check this out. What it said was, the slave who knew his master's will and did not prepare himself will be beaten with many blows. Yo, the slave who knew his master's will and did not prepare himself will be beaten with many blows. This is roughly and loosely translated, and it hit me like a verdict, right? First of all, God is not cruel. God is not cruel. But if you're like me and you're starting to see, to whom much is given, much is expected. You have already been given. You might have lost sight of it because you're grinding and because you're chasing this abundance that society tells you have to do and you have to be and you have to go get. You forgot about you. You forgot about the real you, about what God gave you already. Look around at your life. You can't tell me you are just blank and that you have zero impact to the world. Stop it. Stop it, because you have an impact on you. Full stop. Minimum. And you have a responsibility as you to be the best God version you can be. At minimum, there's nobody that can elude that fact. Now, you may not be conscious of it. You may not accept it that way. So you might, you might not be held accountable to the same extent that somebody else is. I feel like I'm already understanding of, at minimum, the baseline requirement for me to be the image that God made me in. That's you, man. Neglecting yourself is a crime. Neglecting yourself is cruel. Neglecting yourself is punishment before God. And God, through his grace, humility, and truth, gave you that power and will watch you do it. There's no judgment that you need outside of that. Come to realization that that's happening to yourself, by yourself, through yourself, and tell me that that within itself is not punishment. That's a living hell, my G. My God. This is how I've been feeling. This is what I'm trying to understand. So now you're like, yo, I got to be the best I can be for me, because that is my responsibility. I've been given conscious living. I'm the greatest conscious creation that God could come up with. God created the entirety of the universe, and maybe there's other beings in other realms, whatever. I can only worry about the realm I'm in, the reality I see. And in the reality I see, man is the greatest, most powerful creation that God has put on this earth. And what are you doing with it? What are you doing with the creation God gave you, who is you? And now, maybe you've been a little subconscious, unconscious, sort of in stasis to not appreciate, if you're like me, you're a father and a husband. So God is not cruel, but there's a verdict. Once you've seen, once you've been handed divine governance, once you've been trusted, what have you been trusted with? Especially to me as a man. Protection, presence, leadership. What do I provide? What do I provide with my image? When the people I create along with look at me, what do they see? When God looks at me and delivers me a message, what does he see? He, the isness, the all, she. God has no limits. Once you've been trusted with protection, presence, and leadership, ignorance is no longer an excuse. It can't be an excuse. It's rebellion. And rebellion breeds consequence. Here's the reality of what I'm seeing as far as to whom much is given, much is expected. You've lost the consequence. You've lost the consequence of stasis for your life, stagnation, of submitting your subconscious and creative spirit to somebody else, to something else, leasing it away. You don't feel that consequence. You don't think you have much. You can't think you have much. If you thought you had much, I guarantee you, you would do something about it. Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you do something about you if you felt like you've been given something to do? How many of us have lost sight of? How many of us have had the inspiration and the vision and the foresight, the foreshadowing? Or if I did this, I would feel this way about myself. And you don't get it? You don't go get it? I don't. The consequence is that you fall into an excuse. It's difficult for us to talk that way. It's hard for us to accept socially that we're failing ourselves. Impartially, objectively, can we not agree that if we don't maximize the existence of our life, then we are failing ourselves? What's another word you want to use? quitting, or it just, what it wasn't meant to be. You're gonna live your life as it wasn't meant to be. It wasn't for you. You weren't good enough. So now I understand I gotta maximize me. I also have to learn, and I had to learn through many trials and tribulations. I can't be that selfish. Why do I maximize myself? I'm a father. So as a father, I've been given much. I might have been infected consciously with what a father was resembled to me as. And I give too much credence to what I lost. Why? It's lost already. And I also can't just live under the guise of, if I give a little more than what I got, I'm clearly better. Nah, once you understand that protector provider is an emotional stoutness, a spiritual stoutness, a physical stoutness, it's peace and freedom. The peace and freedom to do what? Go be you. With as much esteem and confidence and compassion and love as you can. I got you. I'll protect you through all of that. So yeah, everything I do for me, the channel, the working out, the reading, it's all good. It's all gravy. It's beautiful. I got to do that for me. But that's a fraction of what I've been given. If I do all that, but leave my home hollow, what have I done? I've done that. Yo, it's not, I don't know. I don't know what else to say about that. I've created a hollow home with big glass windows and 20-foot ceilings. The dream home, when we got here, hollow, empty. Why? Because much had been given and much had been neglected. Absence versus presence. So as a man now, I have to open up and realize I've been trusted with lives. So if you can accept consciously that you have been entrusted with your own life through God, right? Then you can appreciate everybody has, because God is everybody. God is all, God is everything. So as part of my trusting with self, I've also been given other selves, which means what? My role is my wife's security, my daughter's heart, my son's mind. All encompassing. And even though I've changed, I've done a 180. What's the fear we might have doing things like this? That somebody will see me and be like, yo, that dude is fake. That's a real thing. Why? What I talked about the other day. I still have an insecurity about being around people who used to know me. Why? They're going to talk to me like the person I used to be. So they don't know what this is. They're going to look like, dude, you bugging. That dude? But what are my options? To stay that dude or do something with it? So now imagine we talked about the pendulum. You swung the pendulum the whole way. Yo, change, massive change. Massively present. But I didn't do nothing that I wasn't supposed to already do. You get what I'm saying? When you put forth the effort to become who you're supposed to be, what's the reward for it? That is the reward. You don't just get to stop. You don't get to put the weight down. The burden doesn't lighten, it deepens. You don't just become present and look to stand on a pedestal and climb up into an ivory tower and bang on your chest like you've done something. It's what you were supposed to do. The reward is what you were supposed to do. And then you got to repeat it. And then when you see it and you're like, yo, I've optimized, it gets deeper and deeper and deeper. Why? To whom much is given, much is expected. You're expected to be at all times. So we talk about remembrance and how often you have to remind yourself. The reward is not peace. Not for me. Not that I see. It confronts you with weight. And every moment missed before, every time you weren't there emotionally, spiritually, protectively, it echoes back. You want to come from darkness. You think the dark doesn't reflect back off the light? If the most difficult thing we could do is live in our proverbial sin, sit in our proverbial guilt, wish that we could get time back that's gone, that is also remembrance. It's there as a reminder of what could happen if you stop. That's why I believe so deeply in prayer. That's why I believe so deeply in getting into yourself, querying yourself, auditing yourself, listening to the echoes. You don't get better and forget who you were. Who you were goes along for the ride. If you think you could drop that person and it won't come back, you're bugging. It'll get you when you are most vulnerable, which is what? Likely through more success. Because you think now because you've gotten success in this way, you're shielded and protected. Nah. That's not the success. That's residual. That's why they tell you you don't have to really think in detail about the type of dollar amount or followers, subscribers, all those things. It's a side effect of the work. If you just do it and do it and do it and do it, there's nobody who has consistently done it and not gotten back what they've given for it. But now you lose the root of what sets you on that path, then it becomes a hollow home. You get what I'm saying? It becomes a hollow home. You got to stay rooted the whole way up. How do you do that? You got to remember that you're protecting, you're providing, not just the bread. Especially I can only speak as a man. Emotional stoutness, protection, safety, peace, harmony, unity. So every time you weren't there emotionally, and every time you think about not being there emotionally, even if you're not conscious of it, spiritually and protectively, it echoes back. So even in provision, I've failed. Even in leadership, I've lacked. So what's the scariest part for me? The more I know, the more I am responsible for. And the more I protect, the more I must protect. So if I can learn what needs protecting, you learn to protect it, and then you learn to protect it further. You learn to accept it, and then you learn to accept more of it. You learn to carry it, and then you learn to add more weight. So now, this isn't just about fatherhood. This is about what you've been entrusted with. What have you been entrusted with? Your gifts, your vision, your presence. You have been handed kingdoms. Everybody has a kingdom. Everybody builds their own kingdom. Spiritual, emotional, relational. What is your spiritual kingdom like? What is your emotional kingdom like? What is your relational kingdom like? Why did I return to gratitude? God will not provide more in graciousness to those who aren't grateful for what they already have. How could you expect more gratitude when you're overlooking everything you have right now? All right, cool. You click like on posts like this. You talk it out loud. You don't practice it. You can't practice it. If you did, you'd have more abundance. The more grateful you are, the more you will receive in graciousness. Why? Because it's heavy. It takes a lot of work, a lot of discipline, a lot of fortitude. It takes a lot of humility. It takes depleting of the ego. And as you do this, and as you become accepting, and as you just put in the work, God guarantees that he will reward you. So you've been handed a kingdom, spiritual, emotional, relational. But we keep asking for more while squandering the sacred. We keep asking for more while squandering the sacred. The more you squander away your opportunity with life through some kind of loathing, self-doubt, guilt, pride, prejudice, judgment, condemnation, coveting. Why are you so wrapped up in those emotions, man? What do they even mean? What does it really mean? We're asking for more while squandering the sacred. Breath, be grateful. You have pressure, be grateful. It's hard, be grateful. You got bills, be grateful. You got running water. You got some food, you can chow down. You got somebody who'll listen, especially God. You were created in the absolute most phenomenal, sensational, abundant image there is in this planet, dog. You just got to tap in. But just know that once you tap in, to whom much is given, much is required. I need my chapstick. To whom much is given, much is required. That is not pressure. That is prophecy. What have you been given that you are squandering? What have you been given that you're neglecting? What have you been given that you just don't want to carry? What can you carry right now? Just carry what you can right now. Because you can't cry for abundance. You cannot cry for abundance. You stop with the requesting for saving. You will stay in a state of waiting to be saved. So you can't cry for abundance and not carry what you've already been crowned with. You can't beg for breakthrough and still leak at the soul. You cannot stand in front of God, gifted and guided, and still act like you're unsure if it matters. Oh, it matters. It matters. You matter. We all matter. And it's all just matter at the end of the day. Yo, I can't explain and express really in words the vividness, the power, the emotion, so if you feel the fear I felt and still feel, if you've had the dream, heard the whisper, felt the push, do not stall. Don't post it later. Go live with your life. Get live. Get all the way live with your one existence. And let this be your repentance in real time. You own it or be owned by it. You either run the system or the system runs you. Change your mind, change your life. I am who I say I am. Do you and stay rich.